So here I am at the Plymouth Meeting Mall in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. And yes, that is a giant Lego giraffe. There's a reason that's here, and you'll see why shortly. I think this is one of my favorite malls I've been to aesthetics-wise. It's a very nice-looking mall, but unfortunately, it doesn't really have a whole lot to offer nowadays, other than aesthetics. This is technically the mall's food court, but there's really not much left to it, and that's because in 2017 it was downsized to make way for Legoland, as you can see on that sign to the left, and that's why that giraffe statue is out there. There's only 2 places in here, although to be fair, there are a few other places to eat in the mall and outside the mall on the out parcels. Plymouth Meeting Mall opened its doors in 1966, making it the 3rd oldest mall in the Philadelphia area, after the Cherry Hill Mall, which opened in 1961, and the Morristown Mall, which opened in 1963. Like several other malls in this area, it was built and owned by the Rouse Company in its early years, and it's been owned by Priet since 2003. Boscov's here is the mall's only traditional anchor store left. It opened in 1996. Originally, it was the Litt Brothers, which was here until 1977. Then it became Hess's from 1979 to 1993. Litt Brothers held their grand opening on October 10th, 1966, with an Olympics theme. CEO J.P. Hansen lit a torch to mark the official opening of the store. Ironically, just a few years later, this part of the mall would be consumed by a massive fire. On January 10th, 1970, about a third of the stores in the mall were damaged by the fire. However, the Litt Brothers was not damaged, and luckily, no one was killed. Here's what I call one of the old-fashioned FYEs with the old logo, and they still have a decent selection of CDs and DVDs in there, and unfortunately it's closing. That's one of the few FYEs I'm aware of in this area that is still like that. Most of them are the little Hot Topic type stores. I like this carousel here. From what I read, it was added sometime in either 1983 or 84. It was originally closer to the Hess's / Boscov's, but it was moved to its current location in 1996. One thing you'll see a lot of throughout the video is vacant stores. This mall has really been struggling over the last 10 years or so. In 2016, it had an occupancy rate of 91%, not including the anchors. By 2019, that number had fallen to 81%, and today it's pretty clearly lower than that. I don't have an exact figure, unfortunately. But if I had to guess, I would say it's at least 35 to 40% vacant, if not more. Here's one of those bungee jumps. There's one of those at the Franklin Mills Mall, but I've never seen it open. There were quite a few stores here that still had their signs up, but weren't open when I was here, so I'm not sure which ones were still in business and which ones were closed altogether. This AT&T is still in business, but for some reason they're closed on Sundays. It's very strange. Getting back to the mall's history, after the fire in January of 1970, by May of 1971, all of the stores that had been damaged in the fire had reopened. The mall suffered another setback in the late 70s after Litt Brothers closed. The building sat vacant for over 2 years, and as a result, there was a sharp decline in business in that wing of the mall. The mall underwent its first renovation between 1983 and 1984. 16 new stores opened up, and like I mentioned earlier, the carousel was added by the Hesses. Also, in 1985, the first IKEA in the United States opened up on this property as an out parcel. It was here until 2003 when it moved to Conshohocken, not too far from here. I was very disappointed to see that the fountain was turned off. This fountain is really beautiful, really amazing. and for some reason it was not operating when I was here. Last time I was here, it was drained altogether, though. At least this time there was water in it, but still. The Dave & Buster's here was originally Woolworth's from the mall's opening until 1997. And up here where Dick's is, that was originally Strawbridge and Clothier from the mall's opening until 2006 when it became Macy's. Then Macy's closed in 2017, and after that the building was subdivided into a number of different tenants. 2 of them are accessible from the inside of the mall, Dick's on the first floor and Burlington on the second floor. And then there's also an Edge Fitness, Michael's, and Miller's Ale House. All of those are only accessible from the outside of the mall. And all of these places opened in the fall of 2019. Now luckily this here survived, the Strawbridge and Clothier Seal of Confidence. They used to have this on all of their stores. And I'm glad that this one was kept. There used to be one on the first floor too, but sadly that one's gone. Coming up, there's a very long string of vacancies on the right here. Starting in late 1996, the mall underwent a $50 million renovation, which saw the interior get updated. Like I mentioned earlier, the carousel was moved to its current location closer to the center of the mall, and also 3 new mall entrances were built. The mall was officially rededicated on December 10th, 1998. On December 18th, 1998, a new General Cinema movie theater opened up out in the parking lot. And that is still here today, but it's now AMC, which acquired General Cinema in around 2002. Then in 1999, the food court, which we saw at the beginning of the video, opened up in the mall's original theater, which had been vacated when the General Cinema opened. Those trees are a really nice touch, I think. And then you got some other plants around the mall too, which is always nice. In 2007, the old IKEA was demolished to make way for a new outdoor lifestyle center. The Lifestyle Center opened on May 1st, 2009. Its first stores were Lofts, Coldwater Creek, Chico's, and Joseph A. Bank. Then Whole Foods Market opened on January 12, 2010, with a 350-space parking garage under it. I guess the Lifestyle Center was meant to revitalize the mall and bring in more shoppers. The only store in there that I was ever in was the Whole Foods, and that was decently busy when I was there. One hill that I will die on is that malls would be doing a lot better if they had grocery stores in them, and I actually mean inside of them, not just attached to them. And here you got a pretzel place and a Dairy Queen. So as you can see, there are more eateries in the mall other than just the little food court on the first floor. And from what I understand, there actually used to be a staircase that led up to this from the food court, but I think they got rid of that when the food court was downsized to make way for Legoland. This barber shop here is still in business. It's just closed because, again, I was here on a Sunday. To the right here used to be Bertucci's. Most of those, at least in this area, went out of business about 2 years ago. It's still pretty intact in there. It's almost like they just closed the door and walked away. I guess they probably did. It seems like the mall mostly relies on sunlight during the day, and because of that, certain parts of it are kinda dark, like here. It's not super dark, but it's noticeably darker than most of the mall, because there's no skylight directly above it. Here's the Chick-fil-A, which once again was closed because it was Sunday. I bet that place is usually the busiest eatery in the mall though when it is open. Like I mentioned earlier, the mall has seen an increase in the vacancy rate over the last 10 years. And they've been trying to revitalize the place to bring in more people. One of the things they did was add the Legoland in 2017. And I think that gets a lot of people going there with their kids, but I'm not really sure how many people are actually coming and shopping at the mall when they're going to Legoland. I would think a lot of people probably come just to go to Legoland. However, 2017 was also the year that Macy's closed, and I would have to think that probably hurt the mall, because they only had 2 anchors to begin with. This is one of the malls in this area that was never expanded. It was built with 2 anchors, and it's always only had 2 anchor spaces. So losing one of the 2 definitely is not good. But they were able to fill up that Macy's space within a couple of years, which is good. This to my right used to be the Woolworths, which closed, I believe, in 1997, and now it's the second floor of Dave & Buster's. Burlington and Dick's and Michael's, those aren't your typical mall businesses, but Priet seems to try to bring in non-traditional mall businesses to fill vacant spaces. They did the same thing at Morristown Mall. Their Macy's was replaced by Michael's, Five Below, Sierra, and HomeSense. And also the Sears there was replaced by a healthcare center. I do believe that Priet is trying to keep Plymouth Meeting Mall alive. However, it's just never going to be that successful anymore in this day and age. We're only about a 15-minute drive away from the King of Prussia Mall, the fourth largest mall in the country, which has over 400 stores, many different eateries, and things to do. There's really no reason why anyone would come here over there. I would have to think that most of the people who shop here live pretty close by. Nobody's going to drive, 45 minutes or an hour to come here just to go shopping. There's really nothing here that you can't find at a closer mall to you, except for Legoland, I guess. Now here's the Lifestyle Center, which, like I said earlier, was built in 2009. There weren't too many people walking around out here when I was here, but maybe there were more people in the stores. I don't know, I didn't actually check any of them. And all the way down at the end, you see that's the Whole Foods, which opened in 2010. Priet actually sold the Whole Foods in 2023 to Agree Realty for $27 million. Priet has been going through some financial issues over the last few years. They declared bankruptcy in 2023, but they ended up emerging from it in 2024. However, they have had to sell some of their assets. They're currently looking to sell the Exton Square Mall, but I don't think that's gone through yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up trying to sell this one in the next few years. They've invested heavily into their better performing malls, namely Cherry Hill Mall and Willow Grove Mall. And that's definitely paid off for them. But like I said, I do think they're at least trying to keep Plymouth Meeting Mall and the Morristown Mall alive, even though both of those are struggling. Another thing they want to do to revitalize the property is build apartments like they're doing at the Morristown Mall. They're also seeking approval to build 275 apartments in the parking lot of this mall. The Plymouth Township Council did vote unanimously to allow the construction of mid and high-rise apartments within the shopping center zoning districts. However, this particular project has not been approved yet, so we'll see what happens there. So, is Plymouth Meeting Mall a dead mall? It's a tough question to answer. Personally, I would say no, it's not quite there yet, but it's definitely getting there. It's kind of like Morristown Mall. Clearly struggling, overshadowed by another much larger and much more successful mall nearby. Morristown Mall has the Cherry Hill Mall right down the street, and this one is, like I said, 15 minutes away from King of Prussia Mall, and about a half hour away from the Willow Grove Mall. But I think Priet has done enough to keep the place alive for now, and I'm sure it'll be here for the next 5 years at least. After that, though, it's hard to say. And since we're back in the food court on our way out, here's a few pictures of what it used to look like before Legoland was added. As you can see, there were restaurants on the right side, there were tables and chairs in here. And it looks like there was a staircase leading up to the second floor, I guess where the Dairy Queen is. And here's an empty vending machine. Now, there's just a few more things to show you. You see that office building over there? That was built in 1969. And these doors over here lead to a church. It's called the Church on the Mall, and it's been here since 1972, so almost as long as the mall itself. When I first got here, I came in this entrance from the other side, and I was confused because it wasn't attached to the rest of the mall. It was just the church, and I assumed that this was probably attached to the food court before Legoland was built, but I'm not actually sure. And then this here is a hallway that I guess leads to the office building. I'm not actually sure if you can still go in here. I didn't even try opening the door, but there's just some random trash bags lying around, so I wonder if they just use this for storage or something. Well, that's the Plymouth Meeting Mall. Very nice mall. Unfortunately, it's definitely seen better days, but hopefully it'll be able to hang in here for a while. And maybe next time I come, the fountain will actually be turned on. Thanks for watching.